Yo, what's up, gamers? Aaron Shack here with episode 65 of the Shackcast. We have a special guest with us today. We're going to talk about Halo Studios, Ubisoft, a lot of things that are changing with these companies and stuff that's going on in the industry. We have a special guest, TxWolverines, with us today. He is a YouTuber, live streamer, content creator who enjoys a lot of tactical shooters, real-time strategy games, and more. So we're going to talk with him today. So welcome to the show, man, and tell us a little about yourself.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great, man.
I'm doing great. Got some food in me and had a little technical difficulties with the equipment, but we are here and live with you on this podcast. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I got into gaming when I was a young kid. And the main games I had at the time was an N64. And my first console was an N64 with it came with the Super Mario 64. And I'm sure you remember that, right?
Oh, great game, yeah.
Yeah, it was a classic. So, then my second game was Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. So my mom was kind of against that because it had, shooting and blood and stuff like that. But, it was a video game. She let me have it. So at that point in my life, it was, of course, the 90s generation. And my grandfather bought a PC for the first time. And when he bought that PC, I got into the Command and Conquer Red Alert series. And that is the first time I played an RTS in my life when I was a young kid. Because I grew up in a small town. We don't have internet available like we do now. Back then, it was all dial up. DSL and AOL, where you get the disc, connected to the internet through the phone line and stuff, and you had to wait for it. And oh my god, it was. I'll tell you this, dude. I'll never not try to go back to my childhood, because that was just an epic moment in time.
Yeah.
With the games that were, I grew up with. Command and Conquer was my favorite RTS game of all time, and it always will be. So, I have my YouTube channel. I am a big RTS fan, so I stream a lot of RTS games. Terminator is one of the ones that has recently touched my heart at, the RTS genre. And Men of War series, of course, the remaster for Command and Conquer. I also play Arma and Call of Duty, of course, Diablo. Just, your regular, tactical games. I'm a tactical guy. Never really got into sports games. I wanted to watch sports games, I'd watch it on TV. But, overall, man, I just, I'm 38 now, still enjoying video games, growing my YouTube channel, and my channel is a place where you can escape the real world. I'm sure you know that I keep a tight lid on politics, because I'm a person where you go through everyday life, you come home, and the first thing you want to do is go home and play video games and enjoy the time you have with your friends and family while doing that. And that's what my channel's all about, is escaping reality and enjoying the time you have with what I do. Stream with my friends, you for instance, Andrew, and Jay. We play a lot of games recently, and dude, I'll never forget when I met you on Rainbow Six console Siege when it first came out. Do you remember that?
Oh man, okay, yeah, the best times, dude. for that game. I think I have the
Yeah,
best
dude,
memories of
that
being a part
was
of that squad.
yeah, that was so awesome, dude. I remember playing a couple Siege games with you, and I was like, man, this guy's pretty freaking cool. I'm gonna add him to my friends list, and then down a couple of years, and here we are. We're still enjoying video games together.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for you, dude, I would not be where I'm at on YouTube. You pushed me through the grind and gave me the motivation and dedication that I have now for pushing out videos on my channel. And I can't thank you enough for doing that, dude. I mean, you definitely were a mentor on like building my channel. There was times I wanted to give up, but you pushed me through it. And I want to actually influence other people to do that because as you know, my channel is growing slowly, but I mean at a good pace. And people ask me like, how do you do it? I said, you got to have close friends to you that will help motivate you and be there when you need them. And that's the type of relationship I have with you, man. You really helped me out with that, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah. You got to have that mastermind group, and I've definitely tried to point some people towards YouTube and a lot of the value that's there, especially when I see things kind of not working on Twitch. And it arguably worked for me for a little while, but I think YouTube has blown up in a way that I had never imagined possible on any other platform. So it's given me the ability to do a lot of different things. So I think at the end of the day, I can give you all the rants I want, but at the end of the day, it's on you to make the decision and put in the hard work, because it is a lot of work. It's not all easy.
Oh,
just turn on the camera
definitely.
and play games, about the editing and the live streaming and presenting yourself, whether you're in front of the camera or you're not. If you're just doing narration, that is still taxing. It's still a lot of work.
Yeah. People do not realize the amount of work you have to put into video editing and making sure everything is right. Some people pay people to do that, but for me and you, we can't afford that.
No.
We have to do that on our own. But in my opinion, that is our own unique work that we put on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes us unique compared to other streamers out there, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, you definitely helped me out in the years of growing my channel, and like I said, it's been awesome. But getting back to my channel, I just like keeping politics and stuff out of my channel because I just want people to come and relax. A good RTS game, a good RPG game, a good co-op game. For instance, what were we playing the other day? Warhammer, for instance.
Yeah.
That was so much fun playing that game.
It's so good. It's the perfect campfire game to just get everybody around and everyone can just jump in and pick it up,
Yeah, absolutely. And I try to answer everyone's comments and stuff like that, and try to get comments from my followers and stuff to see what content they want to push. I am excited about the new DLC coming out for Terminator, though. That's going to be cool.
Yeah. What is that?
Get to play. This DLC's actually going to take place on the side of Legion. So you will be Skynet.
That's cool.
And the developers, one of the developers, or I should say a producer, has told me that he has something special in store for me on the 21st of October. So maybe I might get a sneak peek.
Oh, okay. That'll be awesome. Stay tuned.
It would be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So, but overall, man, my whole YouTube channel, I just want to see people laugh and enjoy themselves. I want them to be able to just have a good time and forget the differences of the world and people that are in it, and basically we're just all equal and enjoying a good stream and game. I mean, that's what games are all about.
Absolutely.
You know?
Tell us where your name came from as well.
Oh yeah, so it's actually funny. A lot of people they ask me about my name. They think it's Wolverine, you know, because the Wolverines in it. But
yeah.
So in my young high school days, I saw this movie called Red Dawn, and it's the original one with Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
And I love that movie so much. When the guy stands on the hill and he says Wolverines, and he's holding the AK-47, and just everyone else is like Wolverines, Wolverines. And in the movie, you know, these kids endure this struggle of survival and unite regardless of what the differences are and become one. You know what I mean? And that's basically how I thought of my name. I'm from Texas. I love the Wolverines movie, not to be confused with X-Men Wolverine. And yeah, so that's where I got that name, and it just stuck, man. Everyone liked it, you know.
I think it's a good overall representation of who you are and your channel, because it weaves it all together with the plot of the movie and what the movie means and what it means to you, and then your visual representation with the avatar that you have. That works really well.
Yeah, I you know, Denise, she did a great job on it, and
Really did.
Hopefully I can get some emotes out here pretty soon, so
yeah,
we'll get some more good stuff rolling through. But yeah, man, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, because actually have my Jeep has a Wolverine sticker on the back, decal sticker.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's pretty funny. And you know, I even thought about maybe for my subscribers and followers, I could do some, you know, decals for vehicles if they wanted to purchase them. That'd be an option with my character on it in the tank.
Yeah, I know some sites that can help with that type of stuff, and the overhead is mostly on them. It's really just you just put the design of whatever it is, the sticker, the t-shirt, whatever you want to market, just throw your design on there, and they handle the shipping and stuff. And I think there's just like small transaction fees or small percentages as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So that's
absolutely.
an easier step than you think to actually get that going, and that can incentivize more subscribers and people to do the memberships as well if you want to, you know, monetize that angle and be like, well, once you're a member, you know, we'll get you a sticker or something, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Do you want to talk a little bit about Halo?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact that it's on the Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
So, I have some doubts.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's I got to see some gameplay, you know? We just see, you know, what the graphics look like. You know, you see Master Chief in his original Spartan combat suit. Because if you look at the visor, that's from the first Halo game. You know, the Halo 2 and Halo 3, that visor is a little bit more chunkier.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's a little bit more thinner, and it looks like they're going back. They're learning from their mistakes from, I want to say, Halo 5 and Halo 4. And returning to their core roots. You know, but I mean, it looks amazing. It looks really amazing on what we're looking at in the video, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see some gameplay. I want to see some gameplay. I've heard good things about the Unreal Engine. Um, for instance, I just picked up Mech Warrior 5 Clans, and that's running on the Unreal Engine 5.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
looks amazing, dude. It looks amazing.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, and Wukong is running on that too. Black Myth Wukong. So, I mean, all
Mm-hmm.
these like really gorgeous high performance games with insane visuals. And, you know, like they say in the video, like Halo used to be the technical showcase. And I kind of feel like with some of them, it's kind of slipped. And I know Infinite was a little. It's good
Infinite
and bad. Yeah, get into Infinite a little bit.
was like they were on the right path,
Yeah.
but I felt like they could do a little bit more with that open world that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, when we did our playthrough on the co-op, I thought it was kind of like a rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You know, there was some random events that we ran across, but I thought that they could have came up with like a little bit better type of ways to do like missions and stuff. For instance, like sometimes you would get dropped off by the Pelican, but you know, most of the time you're running around in a Warthog, which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it would have been a little bit cooler where you had the AI pilot come in, and instead of dropping off vehicles, he could have, you know, picked you up with a squad of Marines following you, and then you choose your destination and where you wanted to go.
Yeah, make
You know?
that the fast travel system instead
Right.
of just a loading screen, yeah.
Right. And then not only that, but you could customize your Marines. The technology is there to,
Yeah.
you can give them weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously the armor is not really going to be a major factor.
Nah.
But being able to customize what weapons they take, what grenades they could throw, if you have a medic on your team that can revive down Marines or even heal them at least,
Mm-hmm.
and then heal you, because, you know, they did go back to the health system. They didn't do the regrowth skin, you know?
Yeah.
But thank you. I thought that they could have done a little bit more work instead of this cut and paste stuff. You know, go into an area, secure it. Go to this area, secure it. You know, I thought they could have done a little bit more customization with that type of stuff. You know, hey, let's put you in a Pelican with your own Marine squad that's following you through, you know, whatever battle you're going to ensue in. Because remember that mission on Halo 1 that was assault on the cartographer,
Yep.
right?
That's
You're flying in with your squad of
Best.
Marines, and then you just hit the shore fighting and gunning. I mean, I wanted that feel back.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like they could have done that in Halo Infinite. The visuals looked amazing.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were on the right path, but I thought they could have done a little bit more work into that. Because, you know, the previous Halo games, they made them look like Nerf. You know, got kids in Nerf suits with the armor.
Yeah, yeah.
But when they got the armor right on the Marines, and you
Mhm.
know, it was more, that was Halo. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And I just I really hope that they learn from their past mistakes and really gone back to their core roots. Because you can have an amazing looking game, but then have crappy gameplay. You know,
Very
it's
true.
not fun. So my thing is, you know, just go back to the original thinking. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Or improvise and make it better, you know? But I just feel like they were slacking in Halo Infinite because there really wasn't that much content that got pushed for the, you know, the single player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got the firefight in there, but how long did it take?
Multiple years at this point.
Yeah. And
Arguably
then
near the end of their development cycle. I mean, they're Probably pretty close to wrapping it up on that game.
Yeah, and not only that, but the fact that the game didn't come with co-op to begin with.
Yep.
You know, the co-op in Halo campaigns is where it was at. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
you can hear the frustration in my voice because, like, it just made me so mad that it was like missing. You know, Halo 3 had amazing co-op, dude. Amazing 4-player co-op.
Mm-hmm.
And they mixed it up to where you were different characters. You're not just all Master Chief. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that made you feel special, you know? Like your own
Absolutely.
Spartan
Absolutely.
actually matters, you know?
Right. So visually, I'm excited because, you know, it looks and feels like Halo. But until I see gameplay, that's going to be my final judgment whether it's going to be Halo or not.
Whether we're back or not. But like I said, Unreal here allows for an unprecedented amount of detail. It allows for like more advanced lighting systems. And I mean it's basically like they're saying in this documentary is that we wanted to take all of the classic models, everything that's base Halo, the elites, the energy sword, you know, obviously we're seeing the pistol come back, you know, here we're getting another look at that. And you're seeing it in beautiful detail that we've never really seen it before. Like they were trying to like render this like how would this actually look in the real world? Like what is the furthest we can push it graphics wise, and then obviously they'll tune it to whatever hardware is available at launch.
And that's the way development for games should be. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you also have to have that gameplay element that's going to keep people there, that makes it feel good when you're shooting a gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the feel has to be there because, I mean, that's what sold Halo in the first place. We didn't have twin-stick shooters. We were coming off of, like, GoldenEye 007 and Doom and stuff like that. You know, we didn't know how to use two sticks aiming and firing. Console shooters were like not really taking off in the same way that PC shooters were with games. I guess Unreal Tournament would have been out around that time, and maybe a couple other FPSs like Doom and stuff. But I mean, Halo revolutionized everything, and there's a reason why every game plays almost like Halo. Like they're built on that same formula, right?
And see, the thing is like what a lot of people do not know is Halo started out as an RTS before it became a first-person shooter. A lot of people don't know that, which is crazy.
Do you remember the rumors? It was back on the original Xbox era. They wanted to do like an MMO.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Okay.
Yeah, I did. You have a bunch of Master Chiefs running around, ODST troopers, and
my God.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I mean, it is definitely brave of them to do. You know?
I would have been all for it just to see how it goes. You know.
Yeah, just because it was Halo. I mean,
I was down for anything Halo, honestly, and I still am. You know.
You know,
just gotta do it right.
Just I just remembered this, and so when I was in high school, and we didn't have any LED TVs or LCD TVs or anything like that, and the original Xbox came out, and I saved up my money and I bought one. Right, Halo was coming out during Christmas, and I was getting ready for school one day, and it was like I want to say it was the last day of school we had. It was like a half day because it was Christmas time, and then we would have our Christmas break. Well, I remember seeing that commercial for Halo, dude, and watching that gameplay and the lasers fly, and you see the Marines screaming and shooting and stuff. It caught my eye, dude, and I was just like, "What is this? Like, this looks freaking amazing." And at the time, GameStop didn't exist. It was like EB Games.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when that game, just that moment in that split second when I watched that trailer for Halo, I immediately fell in love and I had to have that game just because of battling aliens from another planet. The human race is at its wits end battling an enemy that's winning. You know what I mean? It was just an epic moment in my time when I saw that, and I was like, I gotta get that game. And what I did not know is my mom had already bought that game for me for Christmas. And because I was thinking, okay, all I want is money. I just want money so I can go buy this game. And my mom surprised me on Christmas Eve with Halo.
Oh, man.
And not only that, but my grandfather had just got broadband cable internet too. So we didn't get to play. Halo wasn't online, unfortunately, at that time.
Yeah.
But the fact that had happened, that was like the newest thing that ever hit our town was the broadband internet through the cable, and I was able to play like, Wolfenstein and all that. But that was a very epic moment in my life, video game wise. That really got me hooked on Halo. So I mean, it was like the best Christmas I ever had, dude, and I'll never forget that, man. My mom, she told me, she's like, "You're so happy when you got that game," and I was like, "I was, man," because I had no idea she had bought that for me for Christmas, and that's, that goes out to any gamer out there.
Yeah.
Video games bring us together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what it should be. It should be about everyone coming together and playing a great game. And I really hope that this, 343 has learned from their mistakes, and that they actually put their heart and soul and blood and sweat and tears into this game, because that's all we want. We want Halo back. And I really hope they can do this.
Did you ever watch, there was a Starship Troopers show called Roughnecks? It used to come on. Oh, I appreciate that. Turbo Dad with the super chat. Roughnecks was, it almost looks like Halo. They're decked out in the green like spacesuits with the gold kind of face mask, and it was like a 3D animated show, and it used to come on at like 7 a.m. And I would watch every episode of this because I was up. I had to be up. I had to eat my cereal and go to school and stuff like that. And that show, like, to me, when I first saw Halo, I was like, oh my god, it's just like Roughnecks. It's just like Starship Troopers, but, just kind of another world here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that, Turbo Dad. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Dude, that's awesome. $50. Wow. Awesome super chat there, dude.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, I mean, I think what we're getting at here is on point. I mean, some of the things we noticed is that obviously we're seeing combat evolved designs here. We're seeing the classic armor, the classic mask, and that, they're basically testing things. They're like, hey, we made the Pacific Northwest, we made the snow region that everyone knows about, and then the big thing for me that caught my eye was when they showed us the Blightlands, which is the kind of the flood-infested area, which I'll pull up a picture of. Yeah, right here. And we saw this, I would say, most prominently in Halo Wars.
Yeah.
Where I guess we were on that one planet that was just like fully infested. And
yeah,
we had to deal with like endless waves of flood, and then we had, I think it was called the Elephant, was the troop carrier.
Yes, yeah, it was called the Elephant.
Mm-hmm. And we had to like we had like bare bones, like we had to manage the troopers that were on that, and if those troopers, if we left them out and not near the vehicle or not near whatever Spartans we had nearby to protect them, it was like we could lose them. The flood would convert them, and then we'd have more enemies to fight. And it was thrilling, and it was scary, and it was a fight for survival, and it was really interesting. One of the key parts of the game that really stuck with me, and that really no other Halo seems to replicate, and even the cutscenes in Halo 2, where we had the brutes were fighting the flood, and we saw those new types of flood that we had never seen. I think that was super cool, and all Master Chief did was just run through and blow them away. He just run through a flood infested Covenant ship and just blow them away, or run through the base on the first game when the soldiers, we first meet the flood, and the soldiers get overtaken by the flood and get turned into them.
Absolutely.
I think this would really spin Halo on its head if we put Master Chief on the back foot and threw him in a situation like this, where it's just like maybe it's him and some troopers, and maybe it is an elephant, or maybe it's a warthog, or whatever it is, and just see how they handle. Give us some sort of objective that we gotta glass this particular part of the planet, or if it's on a Halo ring or something, maybe we got to figure something out to try to eliminate the threat. Yeah.
And also, you bring up the Halo Wars level with the flood.
Yeah.
And the elephants. What if this particular scene is that planet?
I wouldn't be surprised if they
because
took inspiration.
Right, because I can't remember that. What is the
It was the Ark. It was on the Ark, right? It wasn't really
well, that was Halo Wars 2. This was on a different planet altogether.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't remember excuse me. I can't remember the ship on Halo Wars. Do you remember what it was called?
I'll look it up.
I can't remember it offhand.
Oh, the Spirit of Fire!
Spirit of Fire.
I love
yes,
that ship.
There you go.
Yes.
Yes, so the Spirit of Fire wasn't affected by anything out there because, they're in cryo. So that planet is still out there with flood on it.
Ooh.
So they did not eradicate the flood completely. This could be just maybe concept art of that planet. We may be going to see that planet.
That would be really cool.
I mean, because, dude, the detail, like when I was watching the video, the amount of detail, just like the liquid on the ground and the tentacles and the barnacles and the stuff I don't even know what is, looks, nasty.
They said it in the video, like we wanted to make like the nastiest, just ugliest thing that we've never been able to do before,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that looks like something that came out of the garbage disposal sink, dude.
Oh my God, it really does.
Molded together in one biomass.
Yeah, it does look really.
So, but I mean, that's the dedication that we're looking for in this Halo game. But like I said, it can't just be in level design and stuff. It's got to be in gameplay and mechanics, man. That's got to be there. You have to capture that feel from the previous games. Because all that's going to be meaning nothing if it doesn't have that specific gameplay feel to it.
Do you think in terms of the multiplayer of Halo Infinite, did they have that feel with that? Did you feel that? Or has it been since Halo 3 or something that you haven't felt like Halo had that feel that you're looking for?
So I will say Halo 2 has been the best multiplayer feel for like online. And then Halo 3 improved on that because it was an upgraded version of the Halo 2 online multiplayer.
Yeah.
And I thought Halo 3 had awesome multiplayer like feel and like the executions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was awesome. Like the what is the mode? Team SWAT. Team SWAT was my favorite mode to play
Yeah.
because it was a one-shot kill. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and hey, it had that awesome feel when you pulled the trigger and shot one time and you caught somebody in the head. That was a good feel, dude. But as far as Infinite,
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's medium tier on par with Halo 3 multiplayer. There was some instance where I had the sniper rifle and I had shot two guys that lined up perfectly and it didn't connect. It killed their shields, but it didn't connect. And I had a clip of it, and it was on my old channel, or not old channel, but on my Twitch channel, and I couldn't bring it over because I don't know what they did when they changed it, but it said it had copyright material on it, and but that was when it first came out, so they may have put some patches and stuff in there to fix that, the hit recognition, but I'd say it's pretty decent. I mean, obviously, as you can see, we've got multiple season passes. There's still a ton of people playing it. You know, I think more people are playing in Firefight from the custom firefights. Matter of fact, you know.
Yeah, which I think we probably need to tap into at some point. Like, I think there's a lot of fun that could be had in that.
I would really like to do a stream like on possibly Friday nights. We could do Firefight Fridays.
Oh, I like it. I like the alliteration. And how many players are on that?
I am not too sure. I think it's up to 6.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. It depends on the map maker because these maps are actually made by community members. If I'm not mistaken.
Halo Infinite. How many players? Yeah. Okay. Oh, it says in custom games you can manually set the number of players up to 28. It says 4 players on some. Yeah, so it's kind of inconsistent. Okay. Well,
I think it's all depending on the host.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at like, you know, the maps they have one from Halo Reach where the last Noble team member Noble 6 was fighting for his life and died.
Oh, we got to do that one.
Yep.
We got to see if we can hold out.
There was one that was Powerhouse. And it's actually pretty cool. It has a USC frigate in the moonlight, like in the light of the moon, and you can see its shadow in the moon, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
But all this is community-made maps that have been published and polished by the game developers, so everything runs smooth. There's also, you remember that mission on Reach when we go to Sword Base and we drop in and it's under attack?
Yeah.
And it's called Courtyard?
Yeah. One of my favorite missions.
As a firefight map.
Oh my god. Yeah, those we have to do those, absolutely.
Yeah, no, they have a lot of Reach, custom fan-made Reach firefight maps. And if I'm not mistaken, there's one where there's on that ship that we're supposed to detonate on Reach. So, yeah, obviously there's a lot of fans that like Reach, you know.
That's good, because that's one of my favorites, too. Like, that and ODST are...
And not only that, but you can call in troopers to help you.
See, I like that.
See, I do too. And you can call in airstrikes, apparently, because I just found this out on the video I'm watching right now. You can actually call in kind of like on Reach when you had the little designator and you tell the frigate to drop some missiles downrange, and they're there. They come down.
I'd like to see things like that implemented. You see a lot of that in the books and in some elements of the games, you see a lot of things that the Spartans do that you don't really get to do in the game, which is command troops, work together as a unit, or some of the kind of crazy abilities that Spartans have. I don't feel like I feel like part of Halo 5 showed us like how crazy Spartans can get with the dash ability and some of the other things, just like bashing through walls and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of the cutscenes really showed it better, where it was like, oh my god, these guys are like sprinting at like ridiculous speeds. They're like running alongside ghosts and other things.
Right.
Vehicles and whatnot.
The thing that I thought that, over the years they could improve with like the troop management.
Mm-hmm.
You could give them specific guns. You got your special types of troopers you can bring. Like, it would be cool if there was an XP type of progress where you could upgrade your Marines to ODST troopers.
And have it match based, where it's like you have to level them up within the match. Like you start off with like low level troopers and then kind of upgrade them as you go, almost like a MOBA in a weird way.
Because there was I remember I posted it through Discord, but there was a actual video of a guy that made a mod from Halo Reach where it was a firefighter map, but you could call in AI guys to come help you. And they could be in Warhogs, they could be in tanks. You could give them a specific loadout. You could be a trooper yourself.
Oh, that would be fun too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, we had ODST, right? And that was very successful. A lot of people, ODST will always hold a special place in my heart because I've always wanted to play as an ODST trooper. I didn't get tired of being Master Chief, but I wanted to see what the real, like, the foot soldier, your everyday average foot soldier endured while not being a Spartan. Because there wasn't that many Spartans out there when we were, they were fighting the Covenant. They were far in between. They were, they were not in adequate supply like they made them in Halo 4 and Halo 5, where they were just pumping them out like Cadillacs,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just gave me a more human, like, I felt like them because they were more human than what Master Chief was. Master Chief was human, but he had implants. He had upgrades. These guys were just normal, average guys fighting for their lives. And that's why I like ODST. Yeah. And I think they need to explore those possibilities, man. I mean, we have Contact Harvest with Johnson. You could be Johnson. I mean,
that would be
has
an awesome
anyone
game.
ever thought about that? Be Johnson and lead a squad of Marines in the first contact against the Covenant? That would be an epic game because Master Chief wasn't really around during that time. It was just average soldiers trying to get civilians off of Harvest, because Harvest was a agriculture planet. There wasn't the big military presence there.
They're not ready for that.
And I believe Johnson was the first one that came in contact in the book against the Covenant,
Which would make it even better, like to give the player that moment of him discovering that,
Well, absolutely. It's the same thing with Gears of War, for instance. The new game's going to take place when E-Day happens. We didn't get to see that. We saw, what was it, 10 years after?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the potential is there for them to do this. They just need to do it. They need to have the heart and soul to put it into this Halo game to make it epic, and I have confidence in them. Now there is one thing I would like to touch on.
Yeah.
And I talked to you a few minutes ago about it. That kind of concerns me though. We have unfortunately there's some staff that are against guns that are developing this game. And that's a little red flag to me, because you're making a game that primarily uses guns.
Yeah.
That could be a conflict of interest.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't kill a Covenant with a Nerf gun, you know? So I think that may be that's one of the things that I'm really worried about. Is you have some developers in there that are against certain, they have values that make them not like guns. And you're developing a game that primarily uses guns against aliens. So, for instance, Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, she was against guns. But yet she was the lead role in a movie that was all about using guns and blasting aliens and stuff. And, James Cameron, told her this is how it is. Like, you're basically in the wrong movie if you feel that way, like there shouldn't be guns in it. And that's what this is kind of how I'm feeling with some of the developers on this team. It definitely will make or break the next Halo game.
Absolutely.
If they let those values bleed in to this game. So we just have to, regardless of what you believe in, you're there to make a good game for everyone to enjoy, and that should not affect the outcome of the game.
I agree.
So just that's my personal opinion on it. I mean, so far from what you've seen, do you feel good about it, or do you feel meh?
Yeah, I feel good. I know a lot of people critique the idea of them rebranding to Halo Studios was to kind of try to just like rebrand their image and and just try to say like, oh, we're not those guys anymore, but we totally are. But they totally laid off a bunch of people, so the studio is not really the same group as what it was. And they also had a lot of leadership conflicts when Infinite was being made, and also, post-Infinite, we are seeing that people have left and different people have come in, so I think we're seeing a new vision, and that's obviously why we're seeing this back to basics, where they're playing around with visuals from the original Halo and kind of trying to take it back to basics. So that seems like a good idea as well, because remember what we saw when Infinite was revealed? It was the gorilla-looking dude. What was his name?
Gosh, I can't even remember.
I can't think of his name.
They were like, man, this looks like back from 2005.
Yeah, and like some of the graphics look like kind of cartoony and almost like they were toy dolls. Yeah, kind of cel shaded. Real bright colors, which isn't really Halo. Like, nobody wears like Nerf bright colored armor in that sense. Like, there is some sense of grit and reality to the world. The Covenant have their bright colors for different armors and stuff, but at the end of the day, they're not wearing like highlighter pink armor. But yeah, I think the way they made everything look, and obviously once they add some nicks and scratches and battle damage to everybody's armor, and I mean, we're just seeing like a glorified tech demo right here. Like, this isn't even, it's not even gameplay. Like, they just animated some of these characters to move around and make it look like, Chief is fighting these characters, and they want to show the level of detail and what's coming for Halo next. And more than anything, it's also it's not just a recruitment thing for Halo and a chance to rebalance with that. It's them recruiting more talent. Like they said, they were very straightforward at the end. They're like, we need artists, we need engineers, we need to expand the studio. This is the ambitious game. You want to be part of Halo or whatever the future is with Halo, like, come sign up for a job with us. So it's a really good sales pitch, because I think they are in a bad place where they've made some dumb decisions. They've had some games that haven't really resonated. I would argue, even though we've kind of found some enjoyment with each game over the past several years, it's like we haven't really felt like a banger Halo has dropped since, the Halo Wars and the ODST and Reach, since the Bungie days, really.
Right. I mean, nothing will beat the original devs like Bungie. I mean, Bungie, they were out to develop a game that really left a mark in history for them. I don't think 343 will ever be able to touch that unless they actually do what they need to do, and that is bring this stuff out from their heart and put it into a game. There's heart and soul into the game to make it like Bungie. But like I said, Bungie in my book will always have the heart and soul they did for Halo when they had the rights to it before Microsoft bought it.
Yeah.
So
I'd also like to see, and they did mention that they have multiple projects at play here. I'd like to see what Certain Affinity is doing, if they could ever get a Halo Wars 3 out the door with these type of visuals,
Yeah, and see that I am really hoping that they do make another Halo Wars, because Halo Wars 2 did really well. It actually did more than what they thought it was going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we did our co-op playthrough with that, and you loved the hell out of it. I loved the hell out of it. It was fun.
I already want to go back and play both of them again.
Yeah,
that's how much fun that is.
Yeah, because I mean, it was a great game, dude. I can't remember. It was the people of Empire Earth were the ones that developed the first Halo Wars. And the second one was 343, but Halo Wars, the first one, was good. A lot of people thought it wasn't going to be very, very, very that great, but it actually did well. And then, of course, they made the second one. And the second one was even better. The fact that you did co-op through the whole campaign, and you had the survival mode, their version of Firefight,
Which is brilliant. Perfect idea, honestly.
Absolutely. And if they really wanted to make a Halo movie, they should definitely do it from the story of Halo Wars.
I think that would be perfect. I mean, Spirit of Fire, people waking up from cryo sleep, and just this team that's kind of always on the edge of victory or defeat, at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. But Halo Wars was awesome, and I was so happy when they made a second one.
Oh yeah.
I really hope that they go back and make another Halo Wars, because it would absolutely be so cool. Maybe have some space battles. They had that Star Wars game that was an RTS in space, and you conquered planets, and some planets would actually let you go down and build a base and do land battles on the planet, and then you captured the planet. It was actually pretty cool.
That would be really cool. I'd love to see them insert a little more depth into the game instead of just strictly mission-based levels and campaigns, maybe
Right.
delve into some of the city building, base building, give us a little more freedom than just making those small little bases where we, build a barracks and a research center and blah blah blah, like let it
Right, yeah.
branch out a little bit.
Well, and not only that, but another thing that would be pretty cool is, you could do where you see a lot of mobile games where you build your base up in a certain amount of time, you can attack player bases.
Yeah.
Have the same concept where your base is on a certain map and it's built up. You got your defenses, your units are in place in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
And then an enemy player could come in and attack your base and then be like, hey, you got a text message on the app saying your base is under attack.
Ooh. This time it's personal.
You could go in on your phone and play, through your phone, or you could let your forces just deal with it,
I like that.
That'd be cool.
Because a lot of games now are kind of trying to do the live service game, or they're trying to get a lot of people's attention, and they want people to be on the season pass and, play the game on a daily basis, because obviously there's monetization opportunities there. There's, having your game being popular and at the forefront. There's a way to do that without being kind of like scummy with the microtransactions and whatnot. But with some of your ideas right there, with the base being attacked and stuff, it encourages daily engagement, and then maybe that does lead into something like, well, if you keep playing, here's ways you can customize your troops, or you'll be able to recruit this particular type of trooper, if you get up to this level, or you play for this amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you could have special units.
Mm-hmm.
You can train Marines to become, ODST. And then even from ODSTs, you'd upgrade them to Spartans. So it's definitely there. The potential's there. They just got to think about it,
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to see them do something with that. I think some of the other fun theories we've had for Halo games is like maybe from like a trooper's perspective, like a squad-based game of discovering the flood, like almost make it a horror game, but squad-based, tactical shooter.
Yeah.
And even the Contact Harvest can kind of go that same route with Johnson and troopers and, just kind of that first encounter with the Covenant. I think you could do lots of fun things without necessarily always having to have Master Chief or a Spartan at the forefront, or even a game where you're playing as Jerome instead. Like let us be different Spartans, put us with Captain Cutter in the Spirit of Fire. There's so many fun things you could do.
And we never saw Forge die, so
I really think they could really do that, man. They could bring back Forge. That could be like a huge twist. And they did leave us on a cliffhanger with Halo Wars 2, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They really did.
I think there's room to build on that as well. Like Halo Wars 3, finish the fight. I mean, that's it. So it writes itself at that point. Like, you can really play off the Halo 3 ads.
Yeah, because we didn't kill Atriox.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't kill him in Halo Infinite either.
Yeah.
So,
which I thought was strange. There. I was like, that's a little bit of a missing plot point. Maybe they're saving it for Halo Wars 3. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, because even though he wasn't there to command his forces, he still had generals that came in and, took over.
Yeah.
It's that old saying, cut the head off the snake and another one will grow, or take its place. I mean, we could possibly see something like that.
Absolutely. And they did such a good job with that. Just seeing some of the CG scenes from Halo Wars. I think some of the best in the series were some of those narrative scenes, and even just the graphics and the detail that they put into that.
Well, in my opinion, some of those scenes are way better than the actual Halo cutscenes. You know,
I agree, 100%.
Because in my opinion, there was more emotion in those scenes than what we saw in the previous Halo games.
Mm-hmm. The stakes are higher. They've got, really good writing and dialogue, and it really keeps you engaged. I mean, you can't really zone out during those cutscenes. They keep you in it.
I will never forget that battle scene of the commercial for Halo Wars 2, where you had both commanders.
Yep.
You had Atriox walking, and you had the human commander walking. And then you had your chess pieces moving in, which were the troopers. You had ones that could counter each other. And then when they finally met up on the battlefield, they're staring each other down. And I mean, that's just... You didn't get that with Master Chief. I mean, I'm sorry, but...
No. And that's what it feels like to play an RTS at the same time. I mean, it's two commanders engaging in a game of chess, essentially.
Exactly. That you took the words right out of my mouth there.
Yeah, we got
and that's what that whole cutscene was all about. What is each commander thinking? What is his next move? That's why Cutter's looking at Atriox like, what's your next move? Know your enemy.
It's pretty good. Well, anything else on the Halo front?
I think we covered pretty much all of it. I mean, it's not really...
Yeah.
There doesn't seem like there's that much information out there right now for it.
No, it's pretty bare bones. I still think a Halo racing game would be really good.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
a weird pipe dream. I think it would be fun.
Yeah, and I'm kind of saddened that it's just a little showcase and not an actual gameplay of troopers fighting or shooting aliens.
I think we'll definitely get that when they're ready for it.
Yeah.
I think right now it's restructuring. It's what can we do, because they're moving from the slip space engine, which was notoriously difficult to develop on, to Unreal Engine, which is more widely adopted. So I think they're going to be able to work harder and faster, and that's going to be really good.
Yeah, I agree. So I mean, I'm willing to give them a choice, or not a choice, but a chance.
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll just have to see, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I put out a little article not too long ago on kind of the whole situation with Ubisoft and maybe just gaming in general, right?
Yeah.
Where I talked a little bit about how there is a little bit of oversaturation when it comes to gaming. We are seeing, I think this year it was kind of ridiculous, kind of unprecedented, that we had Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Rise of the Ronin, Dragon's Dogma 2, Stellar Blade, all of these games launching back to back to back. And then you have betas that are launching for extraction shooters. There's just so many things happening all at once, and every game is kind of like Star Wars Outlaws. It's like an open world extravaganza. They want you 40 to 200 hours of gameplay. They want to pull you into their world, and you really don't have time at a certain point. If you're an adult, you have a job, you have a life, you have, spouse or whatever it may be. It takes up all of your time, and what little time you have to sit down and play games, you have to be very picky about what you want to play. And if a game isn't up to par, or if some games demand too much of your time, you might only have 30 minutes to sit down and do a quick match on Halo or something. Whereas, if you were trying to play Assassin's Creed, it's like, well, I need like 3 to 5 hours to sit down if I'm going to make any sort of progress there.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
The grind for video games have actually gotten pretty crazy.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Assassin's Creed has gotten pretty egregious with it as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
For instance, Helldivers. Look at what happened to Helldivers.
Uh-huh.
They nerfed all the guns and they made the game not fun. And they got extreme backlash.
Yeah, and they needed to focus on fun. And, I mean, that's what Halo needs to do. That's what a lot of other games need to do. Kind of refocus on being a fun experience. Then you don't really have to overly... I do understand you need to do some monetization, but honestly, if your game's fun, people are just going to come back all the time.
Absolutely. But when you take that fun and basically cut it out...
Mm-hmm.
It makes things more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Because if something's not broken, don't fix it. Don't try to fix it. I mean, like I said, Helldivers screwed that up when they started nerfing everything, and people were just getting more frustrated than having fun with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then in recent news on Warhammer, it seems like they're doing the same thing, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, they did some nerfs, and they're getting some serious backlash, so...
Yeah, I haven't checked the, let's see, I know they're review bombing the crap out of it.
Mm-hmm. I think Andrew sent, like, a little blurb here that we can cover, let me pull it up right here.
Still says mostly positive.
Yeah. It might take some time because the story's kind of developing. But it says here, melee archetypes, fencing weapons, perfect parry window will now have the same duration as balanced weapons, but it will start from the first frame of the parry animation. So what that means is essentially when you're trying to parry with a weapon, and there's different weapons, they'll have a different defense style. There's block, there's balance, and there's fencing. And fencing is kind of like the easiest or the biggest payoff if you're going to do parries. Blocking, you obviously can't parry at all. Balance is somewhere in the middle. And they're basically lowering the parry window to make it, you got to be really precise. And so I think people are probably upset that there's basically little difference between the balanced weapon and the fencing weapon now. And I agree, that could be a really huge problem. And if you're playing Assault class with the hammer, Thunder Hammer, that's going to be an issue. If you're playing Bulwark, with the Power Sword or whatever weapons you prefer to use in some of these classes, if parrying becomes more difficult, you're really going to struggle. The next thing, melee perks, Chainsword, Power Fist, Combat Knife, Charge Attack perks get significant damage increase. So that's actually a good thing. That's a good thing.
Right.
So those are being buffed. The next thing, the basic Auspex scan. It says bonus damage on bosses is reduced by 30%.
Oh my god.
What? And, part of it is it by using the Auspex scan, if you're not familiar with this, gamers, you're essentially like marking every enemy within like a dome area, and once they've been marked, like you can deal additional damage. And a lot of the times we are using it for bosses because we want to be able to like kind of take care of them as quick as possible, especially if it's a high difficulty mission. So yeah, that nerf is hurting quite a bit. The last one is the Melta charge, which is that big Melta grenade. And it says damage to bosses is reduced by 70%.
What?
That's a big number. Yeah, so you know that big melt-a-bomb, you can only carry one, and you drop it, and then you have to like hold the button to detonate it, and you usually
like
try
a
to
satchel
like
charge in a sense.
yeah, essentially you lure the boss into it, and usually like before a boss fight, like the Hive Tyrant, there'll be like 3 of those melt-a-charges in the room leading up to it, and each of us grab one, and we try to like place them at the right time so that we can blow the charge and lure the Hive Tyrant into it. And so if that's no longer a viable strategy, that's going to be a little rough.
Yeah, because I thought the meta bomb didn't do that much damage to begin with.
It can get, depending on your timing and the radius, and I mean, if you were to set off multiple ones, you could really put the hurt on them, yeah. But
yeah.
70% reduction is pretty big. But I imagine they'll get the message and they'll make the changes. I mean, the way I see it, same thing with Helldivers, it's a push and pull. If you play Destiny, you become familiar with the idea of like, every now and then, guns need to be tailored, things need to be nerfed, things need to be balanced, things need to be buffed. I mean, they're basically calling Helldivers buff divers right now because they're literally on a campaign of buffing everything that's in the game and trying to raise some of the damage levels and bring back the fun factor of why people play Helldivers. So there you have it.
Right.
Getting back to the article here, I have a few things I wanted to run through and get your perspective on. So Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed to February for more polish. Star Wars Outlaws launched below sales expectations. A drop in Ubisoft's stock price has had it at the lowest it has been in 10 years. Apparently, they are also taking the lessons that they learned from Star Wars Outlaws and departing from the traditional Season Pass model. So there won't be a Season Pass with Assassin's Creed Shadows. They are also going to release the game to all players at the same time. No, you pay $80, $90 and you get 3-day early access. I think that's garbage. And also the first expansion is going to be free for those that pre-order, and then it's also going to be on Steam on day 1, which is also a big departure from the protocol of, hey, we drop games on Ubisoft Connect first, and then usually we wait like a year or 2, and then we make more money when we drop it on Steam.
Right.
Also, Star Wars Outlaws is coming to Steam on November 21st, and that's when they're planning, between now and then, they're going to be dropping several updates around gameplay, polish, optimization, quality of life changes, new contracts in game, adjustments to combat and stealth gameplay, because we did have a lot of players sort of complain about some of the takedowns and assassinations and the, just the stealth gameplay in general. Even if you are a stealth gamer, it can be really like troublesome and difficult to navigate. And the blaster, depending on what you're using, the strengths and weaknesses, and there's not really a way to silence a blaster. So you're kind of in a pickle with that. It's really only a weapon you can use when things go loud, or they do kind of give you those moments where you can like shoot someone before they trigger the alarm. You have that split-second decision of, okay, I could rush this guy and start punching him before he hits the alarm or something like that,
Right. And I think, in the aspect of, you were saying like silence a laser, we know that's not possible.
Yeah.
But
those are loud as hell.
Well, and the thing is like in the Star Wars universe, there's not really that much kinetic weapons that use projectile base.
Yeah.
I mean, what if they, they could have developed something that had used kinetics, to make it quiet. That
would have been cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they were very creative.
Gun,
yeah.
But, It uses some sort of projectile to make it quiet.
That would be cool. The other thing is Ubisoft shareholders are looking to oust management as leadership identified the need for greater efficiency while delighting players with a new quote-unquote player-centric approach. And they've stated that their goal is to entertain and reach a broad audience and not push any specific agenda. The CEO said he wants to reaffirm that we're an entertainment-first company, creating games for the broadest possible audience, and our goal is not to push any specific agenda. We remain committed to creating games, ... that everyone can enjoy. And I just kind of reiterated throughout the article, and kind of the theme of this episode today is that, if the games aren't good and if they're not entertaining, no one's gonna buy. Like, no one bought Concord, no one watched Star Wars: The Acolyte. There's certain things that if you're not hitting your target audience, even Outlaws has some issues with sales. It could be one reason or another. Some people don't like stealth games. Some people don't like female protagonists. Some people, there could be a million different things with Outlaws that maybe it's just not the game for them. Maybe they wanted another lightsaber game, another Cal Kestis adventure or something instead. Or
Knights of the Old Republic, man.
Get the KOTOR remake or a sequel on the way.
Right, exactly. In my opinion, you have, like you said, all these games that have come out and they're not doing so well. You said the CEO was reflecting on that they are an entertainment company first. But if you look in some of these games, they're really not providing that entertainment, but pushing real life policies or influences,
social agendas, and all sorts of things.
Yeah, exactly. And people don't want that in a video game. Playing a game is supposed to be about a fictional world. It's not supposed to have like agendas and organizations, and it's not supposed to divide the gamer base. You know what I mean? Because a video game is supposed to bring everybody together regardless of who you are and what you stand for. I mean, that's what games are about, to have fun with the people around you, regardless of what their beliefs or agendas are. And me and you have both seen that this is starting to be a norm with video games lately,
Yeah.
And that's what's killing the gaming industry right now. So, if they concentrated more on their core roots and developed an entertaining game that stuck to the storyline and history of Star Wars, we might have seen a different outcome with Outlaws.
Yeah.
And you brought up Concord. Concord was heavily influenced by outside sources. Yeah. And it clearly wasn't what gamers wanted. It's just the whole agenda stuff is just killing the gaming industry, and that's why we're having poor sales on video games and people actually playing the games. It's that old saying people throw out there: "Go woke, go broke," and this is what's happening. And Ubisoft, for one, is seeing this firsthand. Yeah, they should be getting worried.
Absolutely.
I mean, we while we're on that topic of talking about Ubisoft, dude, Ubisoft used to be the top competitor out there with EA and all of them, dude. Because their games came from the books. Rainbow Six, for instance. They were a tactical shooter in a situation where you had to rescue hostages. You had to go in and kill the terrorist. It didn't matter what the politics or what organization you were. It was about saving those hostages. And just lately, like, Ubisoft is trying to be, for instance, for Rainbow Six Siege, there used to not be these costumes. Rick and Morty used to not be running around.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they're trying to attract the base like Call of Duty does with, the Nicki Minaj running around the battlefield, and you got Jason and all that, and that's cool for like events and stuff, but like you got to stick to your roots, man. I mean, you got to be different than the other people out there, or else you're not going to attract anybody. Some people have even thought about like having a game mode where it's just the original operators that came out in the first part of the game.
Ooh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has gotten complicated.
Yeah, it is.
Too many operators. A counter for everyone.
I played Rainbow Six last weekend, and I saw that they have all these gadgets now, and it kind of makes me wonder, because some of the operators actually make other operators not usable anymore. They for instance, Thatcher, he used to be the only one that could throw EMP grenades. Now some of the operators can actually carry those EMP grenades. So really there's no use for Thatcher anymore. They're not thinking with their heads. They're not coming up with like more intuitive ideas. It's just copy paste stuff right now at the moment. And we don't see any Ghost Recon games coming out in the future. There's been talks about the remaster for Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
God, we haven't even had a Splinter Cell in a long time. You know?
2013, it's over 10 years.
Yeah.
Since,
and we
Blacklist.
haven't seen a trace of a new game even being thought of.
Yeah.
Remake
Tom was announced.
Rolling over in his grave right now.
Yeah, he really is. Cause
I mean,
look what's going on with Rainbow Six. I mean, you got Master Chief running around, and like you said, like Rick and Morty. It's like, no, this like went
Fortnite,
from tactical shooter to ridiculousness here.
Yeah, it actually is, dude. And like I said, Ubisoft is forgetting their core roots of making their games, the Tom Clancy games.
I think 2002 was the golden year, because that's Ghost Recon. That's when Splinter Cell dropped. I'm just kind of like scrolling through some of Ubisoft's game catalog, and like
Island Thunder was the best Ghost Recon I ever played.
Yeah, that's somewhere here on the list as I scroll down. But yeah, Rainbow Six 3, Raven Shield. You get into the sequels to these games. Even 13 was a interesting one, shell shaded game. Yeah, there's Island Thunder, 2003, new campaign for Ghost Recon. That was huge at the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we haven't seen a Ghost Recon like that in a while. We had the open world ones, but really, dude, I would prefer like the old school Ghost Recon type stuff.
I do miss that.
Where you could just go in and do terrorist hunts. That was one of the modes. You just go through the map and clear out the AI.
I used to do pretty much nothing but that on Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. Like, I just log on and play terrorist hunt, and we'd put it on realistic and play it for hours with just randos, and we'd stay up late into the night until the Brits would log on, and and you'd play with all these tactical masterminds, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
try to make it through it. And it was so incredible, even if the whole team got downed and you were the last man standing, and you could just hear where the next group of terrorists were. You were just clearing room by room and trying not to make a mistake, watching all the angles.
There was Ghost Recon, I think it's Black Arrow.
Yeah.
That was the main mode that I played, and PvP. Black Arrow had the terrorist hunt, where you go through the single player, levels and just clear out the terrorists. But they don't even do that now,
Yeah, that mode is just so gone, and it has infinite replayability in my eyes. Like, the maps were well designed. You had a little bit of a grind to it to customize your characters and deck them out in all the military gear, and it was like, you could go light armor, high mobility, or you could go the reverse, be a tanky guy with the shield, or like an LMG or something. You could be a sniper. It's like you had all sorts of different ways you could approach the mission, and depending on the layout of your team, that could lead to success. And that was really exciting. And it, like I said, infinite replayability, and you don't have to worry about whether players are going to play your game or not, because it's like, obviously they are. It's going to be an absolute banger at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
They also did Brothers in Arms with Gearbox software.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's Road to Hill 30 was with Gearbox, so Ubisoft was probably publishing on that one. But I mean, even then, they were, if they weren't making great games themselves, they were publishing great games. They were coming out with the Prince of Persia games. You had the Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. You had licensed movie games that they were putting out. There's all the Ghost Recons.
Well, and also, like those Ghost Recon Black Arrow, they were, they had that development team of Red Storm.
That's right.
Red Storm had a lot of responsibility for some of those games. They put their hard-earned work into those games. And I can't remember like what was the last game they worked on, but Red Storm had a pretty good reputation for, I mean, they made what the Tom Clancy games were,
Yeah, and like you said, some of that team from Red Storm is working on Ground Branch over on PC, which is honestly really exciting. That game looks awesome. Oh, it's Vince Zampella that's on. He's the ex-Call of Duty dev that is working on the new Battlefield, where they're going to go back to a modern setting, and they're going to go back to classes and not like a hero shooter that they were trying to do with some of the previous Battlefield entries. That's exciting.
And that's the thing. These companies are starting to realize, like, hey, we're losing our core roots where we began at, was so successful at, that they're just now realizing, like, we need to go back to that. There's common sense coming back to game developers. Because, the whole review bombing, the developers are scared of that, because now the public has a way of expressing that to them that could potentially hurt them in profits.
Yeah. You empower the audience to vote with their wallet, and you give them the information to do so. If people see mostly negative reviews on Steam, they're probably not going to buy that game.
Right. Exactly.
Far Cry Instincts.
Who wants to spend $70 on a video game and it's just crap?
Oh, yeah. No, you don't want to do that. And especially if the refund policies on certain places are not great. I know they've gotten better over the years, especially with Steam. They've they've kind of got it locked down where as long as you don't play too much of the game, and you do a refund as prompt as possible. Yeah. We were talking about this the other day, though. Far Cry Instincts. That was the original Xbox game. Came out in 2005, which had the map design mode. You remember that? Where you can make your own multiplayer maps?
Yes, dude. And that's another thing, man. That was a good game. That was such a good game. I played the single player through it. It was different than the PC version because in the PC version you didn't actually get the mutant skills as you do this one.
Yeah.
And the fact that you could make your own multiplayer levels, dude. I made this one level where it was Black Hawk Down, and there's a Black Hawk that you could use and place in the environment, and it looked like it got shot down, or the propellers were bent, like it crashed. And there's this game mode on there that was where you're supposed to stay in the radius of a generator to call reinforcements or call in the evac helicopter to come pick you up. And I put that generator by the Black Hawk and sandbags and everything, and when everyone's like actually spawned in, they had to make it to the helicopter.
That's cool.
And you had the Predator guy running around killing people one by one. People were screaming and stuff. But dude, I want to say I was the 4th ranked top map, because you could go in and rate the maps for people to download and play with their friends and stuff. And mine was the 4th one, that the top 4 on that, because they loved that Black Hawk, dude. It was such a good time gaming back in that golden age, man, with the original Xbox and the 360.
Oh, absolutely.
I would say that would be like the golden age for us.
Some of the best games were coming out during that era. You have the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter games. You have Splinter Cell evolving throughout the years. You had the Rainbow Six Vegas games dropping. Prince of Persia was still cooking with sequels. You had the Driver games, which was Ubisoft and Reflections working on those. You had Brothers in Arms that they were publishing. And then, you mentioned this the other day, Tom Clancy's End War, the real-time strategy game with voice support where you could actually vocally command your troops.
Yes, that was built in with the original Xbox Live headset that was sold with the membership for Xbox Online. And it was pretty cool, man. There was a lot of ingenuity and customization back then that developers wanted to actually make progress in, where it was unique. That game was unique compared to others, and today we just don't have that. Once again, we have outside sources influencing game developers to push agendas and support ideas that are unattractive to the gaming community. It's just unfortunate because like Conflict Desert Storm. Do you remember that game?
Yeah. I love this game.
Yeah, all the Conflict games were awesome, dude, back in the day. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Iraq War was going on during that time, that Baghdad 2 or whatever came out for Conflict. But you didn't see hate or people boycotting the game or anything like that, because there was no politics in the games back then.
Nah, we didn't. Nobody cared about that, and nobody, we were just like, oh, this will immerse us in something that's obviously taking place current day, and it was allowing us to relive moments from Desert Storm. I know in the first Desert Storm game, obviously, it was about taking out the ICBMs and stuff, and you had that first mission where one player was in jail, and you had to be
you had to get him out before you could
get him
even
out.
play.
Yeah, it was really cool. Such a cool mechanic that they had in that game, and it's another good example of like they focused on fun first, and even though it was a game that was, playing around with modern themes of, hey, we are literally fighting them again. We just fought them like 10, 20 years ago, and now we're fighting them once again. Nobody had a real problem with it. We weren't blacklisting games in that sense.
Right.
And you had Assassin's Creed in 2007. You have arguably one of the best World War II games, I would say, Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway in 2008, man. That was... we don't get games like that anymore where you command your little squad, whether it's in third person or first person, and you set up opportunities to flank, and you have like a cover system in game as well.
Right. And if you got shot in the face, you were down for the count.
Yep, that was it. That was it. We don't care about your feelings, man.
And the thing is about Brothers in Arms is it was based on real events, if I'm not mistaken.
It was, yeah. Hell's Highway was a failed mission where, Operation Market Garden there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that was heavy. That game hurt to play through those moments
because you got attached to the characters and their story.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that. And once again, nobody went nuts. Nobody boycotted the game and said it's offends this group of people or another group of people. It's just a video game, guys. Calm down.
Yeah, I mean it's just about having fun, dude, and it just seems like the game developers have lost their sense of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone stale.
And if we look at where they're at, I mean, End War in 2008. Do you remember Tom Clancy's Hawks, which was the jet
fighter
game? Yeah. Dude, they were all over the place. I mean, you had stealth games, you had tactical squad-based games, you had your, Rainbow Six, kind of SWAT team type of, terrorist elimination squad. You had End War covering the RTS. You had the Hawk stuff covering the skies, and you had, everything else between Prince of Persia and Driver and all these different games. Ubisoft was unstoppable, arguably.
Yeah, and when you finished, like, for instance, Splinter Cell, and you were done with that, you go to Rainbow Six, and keep playing it till either there was another game that grabbed your attention, or you just went back and played Splinter Cell. Because I mean, let's be real, the later Ghost Recons had so much replayability in them that it just kept people coming back and forth to it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just 4-player co-op, it was like 16-player co-op. And the fact that you could bring in your full set of friends without having to worry about not having spots. I mean, that's what it was about, having fun with your friends. Once again, going back to the core root, having fun. And these game developers now have just lost that track.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're more worried about satisfying one group's needs and separating and dividing the gaming community, and that's what's happening with Ubisoft. People are tired of it. They want you to get back to your core roots and start pumping out more Ghost Recon games, more Splinter Cell games. I know I did see something about the Division 3.
Yeah.
And I believe you participated in an event with that. I guess they were going to do an expansion for the Division 2, but they decided to stick and say it's Division 3 now. So we're gonna see where that actually comes and goes. I'm excited because I love Division.
Division is great. That's another good series that is. It's an innovation. It's something a little different. It's not hyper realistic like most of the Tom Clancy stuff is. It's more of a looter shooter, and you gotta put a lot of rounds into the enemies. But that's kind of innate to that type of gameplay. But yeah, they have a chance to, with Division 3, deliver a continuous pipeline of content, because obviously the fan base is there. Like, the Division 2 has a lot of support, and even the first game does, where there are people that are like level 3,000 and higher. Like, there's people that never stopped playing, regardless of there being no new content. There's people that are just grinding for more weapons or to get that perfect build, or they just like the way the game plays and they return to it, which is also a core concept we talked about today. Is we return to Rainbow Six, we return to Halo or what have you, because it's just a fun game at the end of the day. And once you get done playing whatever new game is out, you reverted back to your favorites, which was whatever games were in the catalog,
Yeah,
which we don't really do
if you
anymore.
beat it on easy, you can go back and play it on hard.
Yeah.
Make
it challenging for yourself. Give yourself some goals to strive for. If we look at Ubisoft's price, in 2014, their share price was at $2.73. Oh, that's actually, 2013 moving into 2014. In 2018, it got pretty close to $25 a share, which is really good. They became like an extraordinary company at that point. They had been growing ever since probably 2011 all the way up, or arguably even before that, because 2002 was when a lot of the big Tom Clancy games were dropping left and right. But yeah, and then of course the pandemic hit and things got a little low around 2020. And then they started kind of digging their way out. But we notice here since like 2021, that price has gone down, down, down. And some of that you can say, okay, things have changed with COVID, people are being tighter with their wallets, you're pumping out games that might not exactly be what people want. And people are getting stingy with their wallets. We're waiting for sales where, if a game is not to our liking, then it's just too bad, so sad. But now in 2024, their price is literally where it was in 2014 or arguably lower, which, that was back when they were a smaller company. They employ over like 20,000 employees now across the world in multiple studios.
Yep.
So, they've almost grown too big, and the bigger conversation now is that shareholders want to oust the leadership, like Yves Guillemot, the Guillemot family, and they, and it seems like Ubisoft has been rumored that they want to take the company private, which I honestly think would be a huge win, because the reason they're doing a lot of the stuff they're doing is they want to please shareholders, not gamers, shareholders. They want to please them because they want to make more money. It's the same reason Call of Duty games come out every year. The same reason, Call of Duty came out and said, oh yeah, we're going to let this one breathe. We're going to, let Modern Warfare 2 ride out for 2 years before we do a sequel. Well, guess what? The shareholders didn't like that, and Modern Warfare 3 literally came out the next year, right? So, it's all about money at the end of the day, and that's why we're getting Assassin's Creeds literally every year. They're not changing. They're just like sports games. It's Assassin's Creed 2024, Assassin's Creed 2025. Like, there's no innovation anymore. You're not focusing on making good games. So if the company goes private again, it's kind of like the old days, where it's like you're not a publicly traded company. You're not beholden to stockholders and stuff like that. It's literally just, we're a company. We make things for entertainment. And we also need to make a profit so that we can feed our employees and, give everyone jobs and health benefits and things like that. But we're not so big that we're doomed to fail almost at this point, if that makes sense.
Right. And see, that's really up to them to turn this around.
Mm-hmm.
It's either the captain goes down with his ship,
Yeah.
or we deploy all the lifeboats to save what we have left and return to what we were. You know, I just it saddens my heart that, you know, the direction Ubisoft has gone on some of the games they've developed, you know. It's mind-boggling because they could be putting out so many good games right now with the BS set aside, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can have an environment where you say, okay, once you pass this point, everything that you believe in or for are left aside. And when you reach the other side of this line,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the game and creation begin.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave the stuff behind to create an awesome game for everybody, not just one person, or to divide the gaming community. It's more of you're creating a game for everybody to enjoy and have fun with.
Mm-hmm. It's quite literally the disclaimer that they put before you play Assassin's Creed and a lot of other games. If you've noticed, it's, hey, this is made by a studio with people of different backgrounds and beliefs. They kind of have to let you know that ahead of time. They're like, hey, we have a studio that makes this, and this, but by the way, this is a video game, so like enjoy. Like that's basically what the disclaimer does. Is it does what you want it to do. Now, it's true that studios have kind of abandoned that, not just in the sense of the disclaimer. It might still be there, but they've disbanded from that in their design philosophy, and it's why we're getting these kind of crap games, shoveling agendas and trying to reconnect us with the real world when we actually want to kind of disconnect.
Exactly. And as I've said before, playing video games is where you disconnect from reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you put your differences and problems aside for the time being to catch a break, to connect to people, to make friends, to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it's all about. And sadly, the current situations we're in now, developers have lost that touch. You know?
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of people going back and playing retro games. You know, for instance, you've talked about going back and playing retro games because back then they were good games. You know, we didn't have this paywall. We didn't have, you know, pay to win and crap like that. You know, they were fun. And that's why I really think that why all these third party and private companies are making retro game consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go back and enjoy your childhood.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's crazy how much they're selling more of those than actual Xbox consoles and PlayStation consoles.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of power in that nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. Because, you know, like I said, there's not agendas or indoctrination or segregation. It's you're all one playing a good game.
It works right out of the box too.
Yes, exactly.
There's no day one patches or waiting 6 months for them to fix some sort of bug or glitch or imperfection, or, you know, debuffing weapons. Like the guns were tuned how they were tuned at launch, and you deal with it for the life of the game.
If that gun blows a hole in a tank, well, by God, it's sticking.
Yeah,
you know,
you're stuck with it at that point.
Yeah.
Now, I have a few sales pitches here for Ubisoft that I kind of talked about in the article, and we already kind of touched on the idea that the Division 3 would be a really good way to go, and to obviously feed that community what they want. They want a return to New York City. They want, continuous updates for years to come. And they've kind of realized it, and they've kind of been coming out with seasonal content, but it's not the same as like dropping actual campaign missions or raids or, something substantial to the game. The next one is Rainbow Six, and I think we've found some mutual agreement here, but I'll talk a little bit about my pitch for this. And on the website, I have a bunch of screenshots here of a game called Rainbow Six Patriots, which is the game that never was, that I wish would come to fruition. I say here the live service game Siege can continue to generate revenue and keep the PvP players busy, but there's still a market for a single-player and co-op-based squad shooter. Traveling the globe, saving hostages, defusing bombs, stopping terrorist attacks, and telling an engaging story that we haven't seen since Rainbow Six Vegas and the canceled Rainbow Six Patriots. Games like Ready or Not and Ground Branch, as well as a bevy of extraction shooters, are invading the market. Ubisoft used to dominate with Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon, mix elements of third-person shooters for the cover system a la Rainbow Six Vegas. Now, the Rainbow Six Patriots synopsis here, for those that don't know, it was based in New York City, and there was a terrorist group called the True Patriots, styling themselves as a populist militia group, and they have taken it upon themselves to act as judge, jury, and executioner on behalf of and avenging alleged victims of what they see as Wall Street corruption. So once again, it's like a Tom Clancy story. It's like ripped out of the novels. Like, you could almost believe it's true and that it's happening, but it's also not pushing you into any sort of agenda. Like, you notice there's nothing here that's really saying you need to vote this way or that way, or you need to be with this flag or this flag. It's focused on something that's like, this could really happen. This is real world events that could actually take place. Tensions are high. And then to complicate the situation, the new leader of Team Rainbow is James Wolfe, a former Navy SEAL who believes ethics are relevant in dealing with the True Patriots. That's interesting, because he is like a no holds barred. He's like, no, this militia is wrong. We're not going to do this by the book. That's kind of interesting to see that from a military force here that operates, with some freedom around the globe. So as Echo leader, a man who looks up to Wolf as a father figure, they must stop the True Patriots at all costs, even at the price of their own personal morality. And I think one of the things that the trailer shows is that you are given these like moral choices of like, do you kill the terrorist or do you save the hostage? And one of the things in the announcement trailer, there's the guy who has the bomb vest on him, and at a certain point, it gets down to like 5 seconds. They're like, dude, we're not defusing this. And they like make the difficult choice of either we die and all the civilians on this bridge die, or we push this guy over the ledge and have him take one for the team,
Yeah, and that's a heartbreaking decision right there,
Yeah, and that's how you tell stories, That's how you tell captivating stories that stick with you and they hurt you in some way. Some of the best stories, Red Dawn, it hurts you in a lot of ways. There's betrayal and death in that movie that is painful. You hate to see the characters do that to each other in some of those scenes. And you see characters that you love die throughout the movie. And that's what keeps you engaged. And of course, the other exciting thing I think about Patriots was, especially with the time period it was based in, post 9/11, like, this was like 2011 that they revealed this game. So, I mean, it's only 10 years after 9/11, and, tensions are high around the world. New York is still a city that operates very cautiously with high security. Airports are forever changed because of these events. So it really allows you to lean into some interesting counterterrorism stories. I'm just going to let this video play in the background while we talk about this. But this game was revealed in 2011, and it was canceled in 2014. To make way for Rainbow Six Siege. So I'm always going to have a little bitter spot in my heart that this game never came to fruition, because I have the Game Informer articles. Like I am like, I read about this game. I watched the trailers. I was like, Rainbow Six is back. Like, because this was going to be the next big game following the Vegas 1 and 2. Was going to be Patriots.
Yeah. They were definitely hitting close to home with this one for domestic terrorism. It was pretty cool, man. I was definitely excited about it. I was hoping that it would come out, but unfortunately it didn't. Did you ever figure out the reason why they decided to cancel production?
Part of it's a shift in priorities of going with this trend of making, because Rainbow Siege almost is a hero shooter. You pick your character, your class, or what have you, and it's kind of like Overwatch in that respect. You have your objectives, you have your character that you pick, you have your role that you play. It is kind of chasing a trend there that was very popular, and single player games only, or even co-op games, they only sell so much. So I think that was a shift in priorities. And also, this is kind of bold in terms of storytelling to really go after something that's kind of dark and political and really but this was what all the Tom Clancy games were doing at the time. You had Double Agent putting us on the other side of the coin, kind of being like a rogue agent and playing both sides, the NSA and the I forget the name of that guy's militia, but you had to make difficult decisions in that game and sacrifice people that you love to maintain your cover as a double agent. Conviction had us going like full on NSA rogue agent, wanted man. Those were bold concepts at the time. That's risky stuff that maybe not everyone would be on board with. Seeing these kind of rogue elements here, and we're even seeing the guy on screen where you're playing as the hostage, and you have to hold the detonator, and you have to hold the button down so that you don't blow up. And you have the terrorists literally telling you, like, don't let go of this button, follow us, or we'll, you'll die either way. Like, this is bold, and this is actually kind of traumatizing, probably.
Yeah.
And that might be the other half, is that maybe the scene is a bit much on that end. But then you see Team Rainbow, like you see the snipers up on the bridge, and they're taking out the terrorists from Overwatch here. You can just kind of see how this would be a really fun game, because you'd have your snipers on the bridge. We'd have a different team, whether it's Alpha Team or something, some sort of Greek symbol, or Delta Team, and you split everyone up, and you have guys stacked up on the bridge and trying to get close to the hostage and defuse the bomb. You could see how this could be really engaging, either as single player, co-op, or and then they start rappelling down the bridge, and you got the whole skyscape of New York in the background. You got the third person segments. You're rappelling down. You're getting to cover. Like, yeah, you see this game. It's just like, it breaks my heart watching this over and over, and I could see it, how it could be supported like modern day, with modern graphics and modern systems that we have, whether it's environmental destruction, the cover systems, all the glorious detail that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
There's really something here.
Oh, and by the way, that militia was known as John Brown's Army, the JBA.
The JBA. From Double Agent. Yeah, Splinter Cell Double Agent.
Splinter Cell Double Agent is called the JBA.
So cool.
It's crazy. Yeah, I was, like I said, I really was sad to see that game got canceled.
Mm-hmm. Look at that.
I
We got
wanted to
him
really
closing the
see-
door, too. Just
Yeah.
like in Division. He closes the car door as he walks by. That gets us going.
Mm-hmm.
See someone
Absolutely.
close the car door and get fully immersed. Yeah, and then this is when they confront the hostage. And it's just like, yeah, the radius is this bomb's 50 meters. I mean, that's a big chunk of the bridge that they're on. If they don't disarm it or get that guy off that bridge.
Well, and also it looks like they're using some, like, as far as you know, the HUD and everything is like they're using some assets from Tom Clancy's Advanced Warfighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mitchell had the heads-up display and stuff, and these guys look similarly dressed to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's even the Game Informer cover that they showed at the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh, poor guy, man.
Yeah. What Homefront tried to be? Homefront's another one, yeah. That was. Let's see, let me pull that one up. Oh, not the movie with Jason Statham, but video game. Yeah, that one's. I mean, Homefront's kind of your Red Dawn-ish game because they had North Korea occupying the western United States. Then they did Homefront: The Revolution, I think a little while later. Yeah, in 2016. But yeah, that's Chaos Studios and THQ, and then Deep Silver did the Revolution. Yeah, I mean, games like this are, kind of a bygone thing. You don't really get this type of stuff, these creative ideas or these immersive environments. I mean,
and touching the whole thing with Red Dawn, that would be a pretty cool open world type game, kind of like the game you played not too long ago. With the French resistance against the Germans. And it was black and white, and when you liberated, it turned color.
The Saboteur, yeah.
Saboteur, yes, exactly.
That would actually work great.
Red Dawn could be exactly like that. Make a game, you have your... I forgot about this game. Freedom Fighters.
Yeah,
Freedom Fighters.
Freedom Fighters.
Oh my god, dude. Freedom Fighters. I miss that game. I wish they would remaster that game. That was such a good game, dude. That was the definition of Red Dawn in New York. That was another idea I could get from, the meaning of my name. We're from Texas, and we are, we all could unite together as the Wolverines. Everyone wants to be the Wolverines, especially, with what's going on in Ukraine. They started painting the Wolverines on dead tanks.
Yeah, you gotta engage in that guerrilla tactics and psychological warfare,
And Freedom Fighters was about that, man. It was about guerrilla tactics. It was about the propaganda that the Russians were putting out, and it was about freeing prisoners and getting people to trust you and follow you, dude. Freedom Fighters was such a good game, man. God, I miss it, man. I miss it. It was such a great game.
That's back when EA used to challenge everything.
Exactly.
They don't really do much challenging anymore.
Yeah, and dude, and like I said, that's why I believe at least that there should be a gaming studios that just solely
Mm-hmm.
remaster games. That's all they do. They get the authorization from the original developers, and they go back and develop remastered games for current systems. You know, that's what they need to do. You know, and I wish they would do that. Night Dive Studios is, for one,
Night Dive's good.
They've been doing a tremendous job, good job on remastering games. And John Carpenter's The Thing,
Mm-hmm.
dude, when they announced that, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, that
They're
came out of
remastering that
nowhere, dude. That came out of nowhere.
I know.
Such
I
a
know,
random game to pick to remaster, but a glorious title, because really well done.
Exactly. Yeah, it was very awesome, dude. With everything that Knife Dive has done so far, the remaster of Turok Dinosaur Hunter. The Thing is going to be a very, I mean, as you can see their website, it's the number one thing that's on their website right now.
Oh, yeah, it's all over the page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be huge when that comes out. I think we're going to be all over this one, because that game was a masterpiece when it came out, and it's looking gorgeous the way they've redone that. Other studios that have done a lot of remasters would be Blue Point Games, but they're kind of tethered to PlayStation. They did the Demon Souls remake not too long ago. They did the Shadow of the Colossus. They did the Nathan Drake collection for Uncharted. Trying to see if they have any more. Wanted to see like a full list of games, but yeah.
I wish I could go back and play what was that game? I'm trying to think of it. Where is like a World War II setting, but it was like fighting aliens.
Resistance,
Fall of Man.
Yep. They should bring that back, honestly.
Yes, they should.
That first game was a banger. Like, the graphics were incredible, and you were just like World War II dudes with, just average guns, and all of a sudden these aliens come out of nowhere and just start getting in the middle of the war. That was crazy.
Yep. Yeah, dude.
Leaving a lot of money on the table there. A lot of interesting ideas, that could really pay off. Another company that remakes games and does a really good job is Aspire. We just saw them do the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remake, and they've announced that they are now going to do Tomb Raiders 4, 5, and 6 in a remake.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And they're also doing a number of Star Wars projects. They're doing the Legacy of Kain. They did the Star Wars Bounty Hunter remaster, which just came out maybe, I think that was at the top of the month. That one dropped. Yeah, they're also, let's see, let me find like a full list. They were working, or they might be the ones that are working on the Knights of the Old Republic remake. Actually, I think they might have handed it off to Saber Interactive. Yeah, but they were working on it. But yeah, it's like that's headed over to Saber, which Saber is obviously working on Space Marine 2. So we know we can trust Saber with some banger games.
Yeah, they did a really good job on Space Marine, dude.
Yeah, it looks like they've done KOTOR. They've done like the remaster of KOTOR, but the remake will be done by Saber. But yeah, just keeping some of the games current. They've done a really good job over there at Aspire. But yeah, like you said, there do need to be studios like these that we've brought up on this discussion here that focus solely on preserving gaming history and taking some of our best games and making sure that they are playable on modern hardware, and maybe sometimes with a boost to graphics and frame rate and stuff. If you make it more approachable to a modern audience, that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Command and Conquer remastered, man. They put a lot of work into that game and completely, not redid it, but just enhanced everything the way it looked when we first play it, you know? Because, really like back then, we're like, oh man, this is so freaking cool. Yeah. Like, look at that pixelated character. He's like, that's high definition.
Photorealistic, man. These are my people.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, they have the comparison slider here. Yeah. Yeah, they really cleaned it up. You can see how, like, kind of pixelated and grainy it used to be. And now it's... Yeah, and even, I think they brought the online play as well.
Yeah, because the online play used to be GameSpy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember GameSpy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I think they're dead and gone, aren't they?
Yeah, GameSpy.
There ain't no way.
was oh yeah, it's long dead and gone. So the people that were working on mods for remastering Command and Conquer, another company took over like the ability to host servers and stuff for like Command and Conquer, and they had to do something quick because when GameSpy shut their gaming servers down, you wouldn't be able to play those games online anymore. So they had to come up with a third-party way, and they managed to do it, and they got it taken care of.
Wow.
But you had all these games back then that just had dedication and hard work and zero agendas and politics. That's why they did what they did, make history and bring people together.
Didn't they release this on console as well? When they remastered it?
No. Well, they had it for N64, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so they had this for the N64, which was actually a 3D version of that game.
Man.
And I don't think that was ever done with that. If I'm not mistaken, some of the N64 missions are actually in the remaster. So, because those missions were actually, only on the N64, you couldn't get it on the PC. And the developers actually added those N64 play missions in the remaster for the PC version, which was awesome.
That's really cool. That's a attention to detail and that they care about every version of the game.
Yeah, it was truly astounding what they did because it was just awesome. I absolutely loved it.
It's pretty ambitious, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Command and Conquer is what got me hooked into RTS games. That's why my channel is mostly RTS games, and then the co-op games and stuff like that with us. But majority of my videos are RTSs because I just love the fact that you can build your own base. You can build it the way you want to. You can turtle, people turtle and just stack up, stuff. But it's about leading your army, building your army, mixing it up, what works, what doesn't, and just basically going in and ravaging the enemy base. You know, you have to collect money and resources. That's what an old school RTS is that I love, is going and collecting resources. Terminator really got me back into the RTS genre, solely because it's so hard. You have to lead your troops and make sure they live up to gaining experience and keeping them alive so they can do better, they can shoot better, they can survive. It's crazy, man. Terminator was such a addicting RTS game. I still play it. I go back and what could I do what I did better? I even thought about going back and do a playthrough on, like, not a live stream, but a higher, quality. Yeah. Because I get higher quality when I record locally to my SD drive. But I mean, the quality on the stream was pretty good too. But I don't know, man. It's so cool that they put this Terminator game out, because back then those were 80 movies, 80s movies, and they were really good back then, dude.
Absolutely, some of the best. And with some of these franchises, I never thought we'd ever get modern games of Terminator and RoboCop and stuff like this.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and because
we're getting it.
All these franchises are tied up between, like, copyrights and license, and you know what I mean.
And when we do get games, they're usually not good,
Well, yeah,
terrible games. They don't know what to do with the franchise.
Yeah, and see, the thing is a lot of people didn't think this game was gonna be good, but man, it was freaking awesome. The choices you made on the battlefield determined the outcome. And I like that about games.
Absolutely.
What you do affects the outcome, and that's how all games should be. An aspect.
Give you some control of the narrative, and the choices that you make affect things later on. And as you said here, with the leveling up your soldiers and actually caring about them and wanting them to survive for the next battle because you need them. Otherwise, the game kind of doesn't end well if you don't manage this type of stuff and you have them sheltering in buildings or getting in vehicles and resupplying their ammo and stuff like that. These are much more in-depth tactics than what we saw in say, like Age of Empires or Command and Conquer back in the earliest days of RTSs, when things were a little simpler. We're seeing things evolve.
Right. Yeah, because you have specific soldiers that can do certain things. Not all these units can get in a tank and just drive it like your mom's SUV.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more complicated than that. And Terminator was just different from the RTS games. There's so much nostalgia and, like, attention to detail, ballistics, your guys run out of ammo. I mean, other RTSs don't do that besides Men of War or Call to Arms.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I just Terminator for 2023 is my favorite game of the RTS genre for that time of the year, and I'm just so grateful that the devs are continuing work. The game sold so well that they're even talking about another game.
Ooh, that would be great.
Yep. And I mean, hell, they're still patching the game, they're fixing the game. There's the DLC that's coming out soon. hopefully they say it's going to be done before the end of this year and out. And I hope that I have a version that I can show off. You know, I've been keeping close tabs with the producer. His name's Mark, a pretty cool guy. You know, we're on different times because he's over there in Europe. I'm over here in Texas.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's a really cool guy, man. He loves my videos that I put out. And I had recently made a video of one of my favorite units, which is the Bradley IFV. And he's like, wow, dude. He's like, I didn't even know half this stuff you're explaining in the game.
And he's
you
the
know,
one making
like,
the
I'm a
game.
producer.
Yeah.
You know, I produced this game, and I didn't even know that. And it was a laughable moment, dude, because I mean, I do pay attention to every little detail, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's why I like RTS games. It's just so tactical. You know, all those decisions you make and stuff. Just it's awesome. I just love RTS games. They're so cool.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. It truly is, dude. I love it. And you know, that's why right now RTS games are kind of taking off, man. A lot of people are like, oh, the RTS genre is dying, and I'm like, nah, I think it'll be all right. I think we'll, you know, not Petroglyph, well, Petroglyph, they came out with 9-bit armies. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
There's Slytherin Games came out with, you know, Terminator. They're coming out with more RTS. You have Micropros coming out with Sea Power. I can't wait till Sea Power comes out. You know, I've been talking about that game forever.
Yeah, like battleships and aircraft carriers and
yep, it's the modern missile age. It's a Cold War gone hot, basically.
And we also have air units as well, so it's not just boats and
They even talked about tanks
submarines
too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that could be interesting. So throw in a little bit of land warfare as well. Because I mean, if we think about it, the Navy is more than just boats. I mean, they're freaking everywhere.
Oh yeah,
whether it's our Navy or other navies. Yeah.
And see, the thing about Sea Power that I'm excited about is you can make your own missions, so you can tell your own story. You know,
I like that.
Separate from what the missions the game developers have actually designed for you to play. So, you know,
there's a lot of replayability when you create things
absolutely.
Like that, or play with other players create. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
That Bradley just shredding these troops.
yeah, dude. It's so cool, man. I love that lawnmower. I call it the lawnmower, but
or the Rangers. How the Rangers went and put that charge on the tank. We just watched that clip, so that's a good one too.
Yeah, and that's a favorite infantry is the Rangers for me. And someone did point it out. They say Rangers lead the way. They say that is a quote from Call of Duty, you know, because when you play multiplayer, they're like, Rangers lead the way.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, but dude, that game's it's so cool. It's so awesome. I love it. I'll never stop playing it. Which here pretty soon I'll be releasing another video on working on the Abrams. So hopefully here pretty soon I'll be able to get that video up and running. Like I said, you know, we talked about the video editing ourselves. It takes time to put stuff out, man. We don't have that capability of, you know, people that have the money to dish out for that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One memorable moment that me and you have had is the Gears of War playthroughs, dude.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
It was really good, dude. Really good. Um, I am so glad that we went through that and, you know, played through those whole entire, like all those entire games, you know?
That started it all. I mean, we were adamant about running through all the Gears titles, and then we started hitting Halo and doing every Halo game in chronological order, which I think was a really good approach to experience the story in order rather than release order.
Absolutely.
And then we got to play Halo Infinite, which neither of us had played the campaign all the way through. So,
right. Yeah, because the main thing I was waiting on Infinite was the fact that the co-op. I wanted to play with a friend. I didn't want to play with myself.
Yeah, it wasn't available at launch, and it took a long time for them to implement that, and they had promised split screen, and they weren't able to deliver that. And that's another thing that was core to Halo was the split screen co-op, even just being able to play it at home with a friend or a family member. Was a big deal for the times.
Exactly, dude. And I wish it was available at launch. We could have all enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the game would have sold a lot better.
Yeah.
If it had a lot of that stuff at launch. I think it launched featuring complete without Forge mode as well. I mean, we literally just got Forge mode like less than a year ago. I mean, it's Forge is also key to especially creating more content that the developers don't have to actually be working on. You know, that's player controlled stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I'll never forget that train level we played on Gears, man. When when I made that short, and I'm like, "See you later, alligator," and she just ragdolls right off that trailer.
And that's some of the most fun moments, from those games. And Gears of War, it's really challenging, and completing that first game, especially in co-op, that's a rite of passage. That's how friendships are made, you know?
Yeah, and the thing is like, I all those when you post those videos on TikTok with on this day, whatever date and time.
Oh yeah.
I just I go back and I watch those videos we played, dude, and in the good times we had. Because I mean that was just, it was good. I like that, man. It's that's what gaming's all about, is playing good games with your friends and enjoying life away from reality. You know, because I mean, you got to think about it. Gaming does help people mentally when they're stressed.
Oh, absolutely.
Playing games for me is it lowers my stress level. And it's how I deal with everyday life, you know. And then, like I said, it leads back to my saying, that's what games are there for. Not to I want to play games to get away from reality and the events of the world, and just zone out and relax. But these developers these days they want to put that stuff in there, and it's like, dude, I'm trying to get away from the stuff you're putting in these games.
Yeah, it's everywhere. and the one place you kind of think you can escape in a video game, and it's there waiting for you again to
absolutely.
And it can raise your stress level as well, because I mean, you're trying to get away from that. You want to find something where you can just kind of have some fun and blow off some steam. And games are stress relief. They can provide positive impacts to mental health. You can work on your reflexes and keep your brain active. Playing all these games that require strategy games and tactical things that require a lot of brain power. You're not just kind of mindlessly shooting things. It's the same as sitting down doing a crossword puzzle, keeping your brain active and, kind of trying to keep yourself from getting Alzheimer's and all the dementia and all these various things, keeping your mind active and all this stuff. There's all sorts of benefits. Of course, reaction times as well. People that play video games have higher reaction times. A lot of people have been able to dodge car wrecks and stuff from just having heightened reflexes thanks to playing video games. It can save you from dangerous situations in real life.
Absolutely, I agree. Hand-eye coordination, I mean,
that power is there.
It takes a lot to train your brain to have that type of reaction in the real world.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like these screenshots from Splinter Cell's concept art, that's 2022, when they were talking about doing a remake of the original Splinter Cell, which, they've been kind of radio silent, but I think the fact that all they had was concept art was really them saying, like, hey, this is really early on, and we just kind of want to let you know that this is happening, and you can, kind of be excited about it. And once again, every time devs announce something, it's usually to recruit more studio. So while that first reveal trailer is often very exciting for us gamers, and we immediately want to see more gameplay, it's usually just kind of a recruitment video to get other people that want to work at that studio interested. So that's kind of my last pitch when it comes to like Ubisoft games, is I want to see Michael Ironside back as Sam Fisher. I want to see as much of the original team back together. You had Grimm, obviously Lambert might not be around, depending on the canon ending of Double Agent, which I think unfortunately doesn't go well for him. But yeah, just rooting that series in, modern, or just kind of keep it in modern stuff. Don't get too obsessed with like way in the future technology that we're seeing with a lot of militaristic shooters, where it's a little too complicated. Like let's kind of keep things a little simpler. He had the knife, he had the SC-20K, the pistol, the night vision goggles, giving him too many abilities where he's almost supernatural, where he can see through walls and things. And I get sonar is a real thing, and there's all if you read the books, he uses a lot of DARPA technology, which is secret government technology that's always at the forefront. Yeah, prototypes essentially. So I mean, I think if you go back to the root of that, of what makes both the Splinter Cell books and the game so exciting, is that you are on the cutting edge of using that type of stuff, and then you also have these extra freedoms where you have, the fifth freedom, the ability to sort of just completely disregard all of other rules and freedoms to do what's right for the country, and to try to be that saving grace. You're on the knife's edge of, total war is about to happen, but if Sam Fisher can get this mission done, we can just subvert all that. And with information warfare being a key feature in a lot of the early games, and how it's evolved now, where that's really how warfare is fought now, is it's information warfare. It's Russia trying to subvert our elections, it's things like that. It's us doing the same thing to them in respect. Everyone playing with AI and all sorts of stuff. There's lots of interesting things that you could do there. And so my thing that I said is allow players to customize Sam's gear, tailor it for the mission. Think about how the Hitman games allow cargo drops for weapons, certain restrictions like disguises or limited inventory in a location. Take the series back to basics and get the sneaking animation as flawless as it was in the first 3 games. Keep the series rooted in stealth with some possibilities for action, but don't market to the mainstream audience that hates stealth games, because otherwise you end up with a Star Wars Outlaws situation where it's like, we don't like this game, and it's like, well, it's not for you. It's a stealth game, you know? But if you don't market it the right way, then people are going to buy it, and they're going to be angry when it's not the game they wanted.
Well, in that same aspect, when I brought up the fact that you had the developer that didn't like guns in particular, you're working on a game that majority of uses grenades, weapons, guns, anything you think of that gets gunpowder shooting projectiles. A
violent game.
Yeah, it's and it's like reviewers too. They review first-person shooters, but this person plays RTSs. Yeah. He's not gonna like it. It's just common sense, man. And common sense has actually like lost its common sense is not adequate at what it was like back in the day. People just lost common sense. And it's just common sense, man. You don't put people that don't like developing games with guns on
a game with guns.
Right. And let them go play soccer. Or develop soccer games or sports games or something. Don't put them on that task force for Halo if they don't like weapons and killing stuff. So
that's key.
Yes, sir.
Well, do you have anything on Ubisoft in terms of thoughts or suggestions or things you'd like to see?
My thoughts would be stop pushing agendas. Stop indoctrinating people and return to your core roots. Bring back Red Storm people. Start making good games again. Just stay out of the politics. Just go back to using your imagination and I would like to see more Ghost Recon games. More importantly, see Splinter Cell, dude.
Yeah.
I would like to see a new Splinter Cell before Assassin's Creed, because they're just pumping those out like, cars in a car factory. And don't get me wrong, I am excited about, Assassin's Creed Shadows because it's in Japan. I love Japan. But I think it's time to chill on Assassin's Creed and bring up like Ghost Recon back to its core roots and, Rainbow Six. I don't even know when they're going to make a new Rainbow Six because they just keep adding operators every year.
Yeah.
They have an operator that's in a wheelchair. No offense against anyone in a wheelchair, but guys, is this all you got? I would like to see Ubisoft return back to their roots and make great games again. And that's really pretty much it on my perspective. I'm sure you're on the same page as I am,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. I am excited about Halo. I really hope they do their thing and they can make another great Halo game. That would be awesome. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I really don't have anything else to say unless you got some.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's good that Ubisoft has kind of seen the error of their ways themselves. They've kind of come to that conclusion. They've made that statement.
Yeah.
It shows maybe it took them a while. Maybe they're finally self-aware of like, hey, this way of making games is not working. We need to go back to what works. And if that means going private, and if that means going back to the games that got them to where they are. Like we saw the latest Prince of Persia game. It's doing really well. And that was kind of a return to form. They were like, hey, let's go back to making it a 2D side-scroller Metroidvania game. And of course, they're still trying to do a remake of Sands of Time, and then they also did the Rogue Prince of Persia, which is more of a roguelike game with, infinite replayability. But yeah, the Lost Crown has done really good. It's gotten like 9s and 10s, and
well, that's good.
so that's a good sign. And if they can do the same with a lot of their Tom Clancy franchises, where it's like, hey, maybe we need to do like Prince of Persia did. They went back to the roots, went back to what worked. We're obviously making good money with Siege, but like, can we be doing more? Could we have one of our other studios be working on a title that's a little more what we used to make and what used to be very successful? So
yeah. And that keyword is returning back to their old roots and redeeming themselves.
Yeah, and I don't think it's us necessarily just being super nostalgic about about times where we really enjoyed the games. That's definitely there, but like, that's what works. And if you literally came out with that today, you would have a situation like you do with Space Marine 2, where we call it a 360 game because it literally is that simple. It's a campaign, it's co-op, it's got PvE ops, it's got PvP, it's got everything everybody needs, and there's no BS from the real world. It's fully immersed in a fake fantasy world that we get to just dive into, and we care about their problems, and we blast aliens, and it's very simple in terms of like game design. It doesn't need to have like ridiculous season passes or massive open worlds. The level design is kind of intuitive in a way that keeps you in a hub world where you can explore a little bit, but there's mostly a main path through, and the enemies are quite randomized, and that keeps things fresh. And of course, upgrading your character and leveling up, and then raising the difficulty so that you can get the next tier of upgrades. It allows you to progress through the game and make it harder and challenge yourself in the same ways we were asking Tom Clancy games to do. We're like, hey, we miss those days where, maybe we'd beat the game on easy, but then, on your 18th terrorist hunt that you've done, like, crank it up to realistic and see if you and the boys can handle it,
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Absolutely.
I have to get out some Rainbow Six Vegas. Try to get some of those games running.
Yeah. I don't know if you can actually still co-op on that game. Is it still able to on the Xbox?
I don't know. I still have it.
But I do too. I've got both Rainbow Six Vegas and all that, but I'm not sure if you can actually co-op, to be honest. I don't know if it's online available.
Yeah, they might be down. I don't know. But some people are still saying. Some people are saying that they're playing it. There might be options on PC with what do you call it? Where you host, where you host, and then your friends can join in or whatever. There might be some things with that.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. On PC, I don't know if you would have to. I don't think Vegas. Oh, Vegas. Yeah, the Vegas games are on Steam. Let me look here. Yeah, it doesn't have that Steam Play Together. I
Hmm.
wonder if there's not like a mod or something. There might be something that would allow you to do like local hosting on, and then just have your buddies join in and put the pressure on your internet to host the session.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a problem for both of us because we both live in the same state.
Yeah,
So
that's not an issue. But once again, still very positive ratings for Rainbow Six 2, Vegas 2 from 2008. I mean, just thinking about that, that's the last time in reality that we had like a proper traditional Rainbow Six.
yeah,
And I was really hoping that Siege would have like a campaign, or that the some of the PvE things that they did include in the game would be engaging, but long term it's really not. Because I would replay those missions and they're just not as engaging. I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, um, I think there was a time when um the uh the game was going to have a campaign,
Mm-hmm.
but they decided to cancel it and just make it PvP because there's one mission that you can play against the AI, and it's the college mission.
Oh yeah, I
And
like that one.
yeah,
That
and
was a good one.
you know, you had to go in and clear out all the terrorists and stuff like that, but they took it out for some reason. But it was supposed to have a campaign, and they decided to scratch it and put in just the PvP aspect of it, which was a shame because I feel like it could have been like an epic campaign if they would have just added it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one mission that I actually enjoyed. Yeah, it looks like there are third-party ways to simulate LAN play with Rainbow Six, so that might be possible. I would actually be down to investigate that a little further.
Mm-hmm.
Because loading up some Vegas 2 and start grinding through the ranks again. Because remember, you had to like actually go through the military ranks as you
Mm-hmm.
leveled up and unlocked new stuff, whether it's weapons or armor. And you get those ranks, and you would see someone's badge, and it would be, oh, they're a captain, or oh, this guy's lieutenant or whatever. You would know how much time they've invested in the game, and it just felt
Right.
really cool.
And I don't know if you remember this Rainbow Six, but it was called Rainbow Six Lockdown.
Yeah, I remember Lockdown.
It did so terribly.
Yeah, it did. It did.
I remember being the medic, dude, and it was cool at the time, but it was so funny though. It was so funny playing that game, dude, because it was just so bad. um,
And even though it was bad, like, you still played it. You still
well, yeah.
you still had like some sort of fun with it. Was Lockdown the one with the voice support?
Mm,
I'm trying to
I think
remember
it-
here.
no, Black. I think Vegas was. Vegas had the voice support.
I'm trying to like figure out the oldest game that had that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. And Vegas also, we talked about this the other day. It had the camera
Mm-hmm.
where you could scan your face into the game. Oh, it says Rainbow Six 3 also had it. Rainbow
Really?
Six 3. I was just trying to remember the subtitle for that game. Rainbow 6-3. Raven Shield and Black Arrow, Athena Sword. It might be Raven Shield was the one, because I remember it was on original Xbox, and you just put on your little Xbox Live headset, and you could say like very basic commands, like, you know, frag, clear, you know, on me, whatever. Yeah, so it looks like Athena Sword, Iron Wrath were expansions. And yeah, so maybe it was Raven Shield. I think that's Rainbow 6-3 was Xbox Live enabled. Black Arrow. Okay. That's when they introduced the lean. It's huge. Well, if you don't have anything else, I think we'll wrap up here.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I appreciate everyone coming by, and, you know, freaking, I think it's awesome that, you had Turbo Dad donate $50, which is amazing.
That.
That's a pretty big, huge amount there.
Huge support. I appreciate that so much. We'll put that right back into our production values here on the channel.
Yeah. But other than that, thank you for inviting me, and, you know, it's been a good time talking about the old times of, you know, great games, and reliving some of the stuff when I was a younger kid, and revisiting that, most importantly, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, I mean, those memories matter. Especially right now when we aren't getting the type of quality in games these days to make new memories, you know. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Do you have anything else for me?
No, I appreciate you coming on. I think you've provided a great perspective. We've heard a lot of thoughts around Ubisoft and Halo, and, you know, we have a lot of similarities in our thoughts on these various games. And I think it's just great to evangelize your channel a little bit, so make sure that gamers, you are clicking the link in the title. That should take you right to TxWolverines page, or you just type TxWolverines, all one word, and it should get you over there. And hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, so you don't miss out on future videos.
Absolutely. Join the resistance.
Join the resistance. All right, gamers, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. You can find this where podcast outlets are. You can find Shackcast there, and of course on YouTube. Thank you for your continued support. We will see you on the next one. Take care, be safe, and have a good one. Bye.
Bye.